Council meeting and the spring formal of the City of Saratoga Springs. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 at 6 p.m. Present we have Councilmember Barton, Davenport, Taylor, Wadman, Wilson, so we have a quorum. We'll go ahead and start with our moment of reflection invocation, and I've asked Councilmember Davenport to offer that for us. You're good.
To meet together as citizens of Saratoga Springs, and we're grateful for the opportunity that we have to be able to build our community. We ask you to bless us with thy guidance and thy wisdom. Please help us to have constructive conversations, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I've asked Councilmember Taylor to offer the pledge.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will start in our policy meeting with a presentation from Just Serve. And before we do the presentation, we did pass a proclamation around this late last year with our previous council, and I've asked Councilmember Wilson to read that proclamation before we have the presentation, if that's okay.
Whereas we,
Nope, now you are.
Whereas we, the mayor and city council of the city of Saratoga Springs, Utah, firmly believe that the values of compassion, empathy, and community support are the foundation of a united, harmonious society and foster connections that transcend differences. And whereas the strength and prosperity of our cities, towns, and villages are based in the selflessness of its residents to serve and uplift one another. And whereas we acknowledge that the profound impact that can be achieved when we extend a helping hand to our neighbors, especially those of diverse backgrounds, and lifting them up and collectively working to improve lives. And whereas we nurture a culture of giving within our cities, emphasizing that volunteerism is not just a duty, but a source of personal fulfillment and community strength. And as we work side by side with and learn from each other, mutual understanding increases, misconceptions can be corrected, and new friendships are built. And whereas we urge all citizens to care for one another, volunteer, and engage in acts of service and kindness that contribute to our city's betterment and its inhabitants' well-being, regardless of background or belief. And whereas the city of Saratoga Springs has joined a growing list of supporters and making a commitment to volunteerism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Saratoga Springs, Utah, commits to promoting volunteerism, leveraging justserve.org to make it easier for residents to find and engage with volunteer opportunities, and will regularly acknowledge and celebrate the contributions of volunteers. Dated November 18th, 2025.
Thank you. And then I believe we have a presentation from representatives from Just Serve. Kate Hall. Great.
So I'm Kate Hall, and this is my husband, Bill Hall, and we're the Saratoga Springs Specialists, which means if you have a question.
Kate, could you get close to that mic?
So we're the specialists of Saratoga Springs. Okay, so I'm Kate Hall. This is my husband, Bill Hall, and we are the Just Serve Specialists for Saratoga Springs, which means if you have a question, if you have a project where you need volunteers, we will be glad to answer any questions.
And Emma, thank you for reading the proclamation. If we were to distill that down to just 2 sentences, it would be this: that when service is done, the people receiving the service get whatever they need, but the people doing the service get their hearts changed, and that's what we all need.
So we are honored to present this plaque to the city of Saratoga as being a Just Serve city.
Do you want to do the whole council, or? Let's go down to the picture. All right, I'll. Perfect. Thank you for that. And I just want to call out JustServe. They're very instrumental in our 9/11 Day of Service that we do as a city. They're great partners in that. Next, we have on our agenda is a recognition of some outgoing planning commissioners. They could not be here tonight, so we're going to move that to a future meeting. And then finally, we've got public input. Time has been set aside for the public to express ideas, concerns, and comments for subject matter not listed as a public hearing on the agenda. Time for the public input is limited to no more than 15 minutes total. Please limit individual comments to 3 minutes. Time may not be given to another commenter. Please be respectful in your comments. Please avoid repetitive comments. If you are here for a public hearing, please hold your comments until that item. Is anybody here for public input? Okay, seeing none, I'll close public input. Next, we go to reports. Council, any reports? I will report that we, since our last meeting, our last normal council meeting, we did appoint a new council member for 2 years, Eden Davenport. And then that was on a Wednesday night. And then Thursday night, we kicked off our retreat. And then we had a 9-hour meeting on Friday and an 8-hour meeting on Saturday. So I think we had a very successful council retreat here in this room. We did a lot of training and learning and planning for the year, and I think it was really productive. Administration report? Oh, sorry. Yep. You're good.
I also went to the library board meeting last week just to see how it was after the first week of the library. Really exciting things, really exciting numbers. I think they had about as many new card signups as they'd had over 3 or 4 months last year in the first week alone. So excited to see where that goes, and they're excited to do more programming.
Awesome. Any other reports? Okay, administration?
Yes, Mayor.
I needed you are there. Okay.
Mayor and Council, thank you. Thank you for your comments on the council workshop. It was a fun experience to get to know the new council. Did want to just mention that tonight we do have need for a closed session, and unless you had any specific questions, I believe that's it for this evening.
Okay. And next item is a department report. Typically, these are in our packets. Tonight, we're going to have a report from our civic events, and Corinne was going to do that.
You ready? Okay. Mayor and Council, I'm excited to be here. Congratulations to our new members and new mayor. We have a fun year ahead of us. So, this new tech.
I'll figure this out.
We'll keep you in suspense.
We're good, Corinne. I think we're
Keep you in
good.
suspense a little bit longer. Okay, there we go. So as a civic events department, our motto is create a place where people want to be. And this number here shows you how many people wanted to be at our civic events this past year. We had over 121,000 attendees across our events. And this does not include any events that were inside of a school, like our pageant, orchestra concerts, youth theater programs, things like that. So these are feet in our parks and people with shovels doing service for a 9/11 Day of Service, anything in between. Kids at the Easter egg hunt, you name it. Studies show that the interactions with strangers, even just passing by each other at the store and smiling at people in person, have as much of a benefit as your interactions with your family and close friends. And in a time when we look for reasons to shop online or order our grocery pickup or do things so we don't have to interact with people, it takes a toll, and the mental health and the unity of our community are at stake. And so we are actively creating ways for people to interact that are positive, uplifting, not just to entertain, but to unite our community and find good ways to be together. Just a couple of highlights. Our programs that we've got, some of the programs we have running this spring, we have our youth council Those of you who attend Local Officials Day tomorrow at the legislature will get to meet them. I think this is our biggest group ever. I think we have 28 kids going up tomorrow, which is amazing.
Taking 28 kids tomorrow?
We are.
Wow.
You can ride the bus with us if you would like.
No.
We had to get a bus.
No.
So
Good luck.
We're so excited. And that shows that our program is growing and that the youth want to be here serving. They don't get, other than our mayor, there's no real incentive to serve other than that they are receiving opportunities and experiences and enjoying being together. So it's just such a fun program to see grow. Then we have our Miss Saratoga Springs pageant coming up in March. And that again involves a wide range of kids from 4th grade through age 21, the different programs they can participate in. Community orchestra through our Arts Council. And this year we've doubled the capacity for our youth theater program, which we're really excited about. So thank you for your support of the Arts Council there. Then our 9/11 Day of Service Committee, which starts meeting usually in March, and then we plan all summer long through our event in September. So if you see projects that you think need some service, let me know, or we'll have a form that people can fill out to nominate projects, large and small. So we want to have everyone, as many people involved in that as possible. Then the fun parts, they're all fun, but we have our Spring Festival in March, and that looks like an online egg hunt for adults during the week, and a teen egg hunt Friday night in the dark, and a kids egg hunt Saturday morning. Some of you have been to that with your littles or as a helper, and we invite you all to attend any of these you would like. Summer Monday Fun Days, we're excited. We are expanding our farmers market. It will actually run through the end of September this year, so when that good produce is available. Some of the highlights of that are Salute to America will be the Monday before the 4th of July, so that is June 29th this year, and that's fireworks, patriotic program, everything. And not just that, but all of our events this year have a very patriotic theme. We're really excited for the America 250 celebration. So things like our luau, which will have Hawaiian plate dinners you can buy this year, things like that. And then the Marina Party in July. Did I skip Splash Days? I did. I read right past it. Sorry. Monday Fun Days start the week before Splash Days, so I never know which order to share that. So Splash Days, our huge summer celebration, American Summer this year. We have a lot of fun things coming up, so if you have any questions about that, let me know. We expect to see you all smiling in the parade and excited to go, so it's a lot of fun.
Are we serving cake on the 29th?
We are.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Birthday cake for America.
Yeah.
For sure. There we go. This year, September 11th falls on a Friday, so in order to have our youth, we have a huge youth turnout when we do our service projects on a weeknight, so we're not conflicting with the schools. So we're gonna still do those big projects Friday or Thursday night, and then have projects during the day on Friday. So it will be days of service this year. So, and then our Veterans Flag Ceremony is always really special to us over here at Patriot Park. And then fun Christmas events or holiday events. And we're excited to have this new building that gives us some more programming opportunities and places to have indoor events. And we'll be looking into adding some classes to our Arts Council and other things now as we're getting used to our new space here. So then, just to give you a sneak peek of the redesign or freshening up of our float. This is the patriotic version of our float for the parade. This is where our royalty represent. They are in our parade, but they're also in Eagle Mountain, Lehigh, and some other surrounding cities, Riverton, Harriman, Bluffdale, depending on the year. So we're really excited, and I think that is the end. Yes, do you guys have any questions?
I don't. Does the council? I just want to encourage the entire council to attend as many of these events throughout the year as you can. And as always, if we could just get those added to our city calendars, it's helpful if it's there.
You bet.
So,
Perfect.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, hit your button. Okay.
Corinne, thanks. So last year, so we're at 160,000, right? Where does that compare to we're
Oh, 120, yeah.
120,000.
121.
And the year before that, do you know where we were?
We were at about 110, or let's see, 100. It was about a 20,000
Wow, okay.
increase.
So
So-
20% over last year.
So
That's cool.
look forward to seeing what
So this year,
what
140.
shows
So
up
it's
this year.
250 years, so maybe we'll go 250.
Yeah, wow. That'd be a big one. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Corinne. Okay, we will move to consent items. If there are no questions on consent items, I will take a motion. Hang on.
I move that we approve the consent items listed on the agenda.
Second.
Okay, we've got a first from Councilmember Barton, a second from Councilmember Wadman. I just do want to point out that Councilmember Barton and Councilmember Taylor are going to be there's a resolution on here to put them on the Utah Lake Authority. I've been doing that for 6 years. I'm appreciative of them stepping into that role. So with the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. I did not vote, I just said the word yes. Next, we're going to public hearings. We have public hearing item 1, a fiscal year 25-26 budget amendment. I need to do the presentation first.
Do I stand up here or?
Either
Okay.
one.
This is my first time doing a meeting in the new hall, so I wasn't sure. So this is the third budget amendment for this fiscal year. Some items of note. Oh. Is this good? Perfect. We have police is requesting a part-time victims advocate to be converted into a part-time records clerk. There's a request as well for a new battalion chief within fire. Most of the requests that if you go through the list, are either a book entry for us adjusting our depreciation, just a book entry, the numbers, yeah. And then also a lot of them are public work projects that are getting adjusted now that we're halfway through the year. We finished a couple projects, so adjusting those final budgets, or we're finding that we need to increase those budgets to accommodate the project's true costs. Any questions for staff at this time?
Okay, this is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing for public hearing item 1. Please be respectful in your comments. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Time may not be given to another commenter. Please be respectful in your comments. That was listed twice, I think. Please avoid repetitive comments. Is anyone here for public hearing for the public hearing item on public hearing item number 1? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Council, are there any further comments on this business item? If not, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve public hearing item number 1, fiscal year 2025 budget amendments, resolution R26-04 as of today.
I second the motion.
You're too late now. Okay, we've got a first from Councilmember Wadman, a second from Councilmember Wilson. I'm gonna do a roll call, so Barton,
Yes.
Davenport,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Wadman,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. We will move on to business item number 1, major site plan amendment for Walmart EV charging station.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you mentioned, this is Walmart EV charger station. They're just adding some charging stations or chargers to the west end.
Push your green button.
I did. I just got to get closer.
There you go.
My wife tells me I'm mumble. Sorry. They're just adding some chargers over on the west side of the parking lot where the star is shown on the picture above. Just for background on this, minor site plan amendments or planning director approval where this is changing the total number of parking stalls. It becomes a major site plan amendment which comes to the council to get approval. They are removing 6 parking stalls, but they do have well over what is required for parking stalls. So it affects it, but they still have what is required, or above what's required. It complies with all the codes. There's nothing that shall complies or anything like that. That's the site plan you see. They did push it as far over past the garden center, so it's not the main ones right where everybody parks to get into the doors. It is out of the way, but it is close to where people can still get in the business. The gray areas in this picture will show that's the parking, and then the other portion is where the landscaping is. Can't really see it good on here. They do have electrical meters. There's a fence around the electrical meters. It's the same type of fencing they used in Spanish Fork and other places they've done this at in the parking lots. That is what they look like, the chargers themselves, and that's what the fencing's gonna look like. It is locked. There's no access to the public. It's just, we require fencing around equipment, so that's why we've made them do the fencing. There is the landscaping, so they did move a tree. It will be moved over to the furthest west portion of the parking lot. It's in the top left of the corner there of the picture. And then they do meet all the landscaping. They do have the landscaping buffing around the fencing and stuff to block some of the view. Are there any questions on that?
Well, is the applicant here? Do they want to add anything to the presentation? You could just state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Bryce Christensen, Kimley Horn, 310 Market Street, Basalt, Colorado. I'm here on behalf of Walmart and our design team. We're excited to bring 4 new DC fast chargers to the city of Saratoga Springs. They'll be dual port chargers. They'll serve 8 EV stalls. And we've been working with staff on meeting the required screening and landscaping codes. These are all state-of-the-art. There'll be access through the Walmart app on the phone, and just be an added amenity to the community and those that visit the area to charge electric vehicles.
Great. I'm going to open it up to the council for any questions.
I just have a quick one, and this is just because I have no idea. So they pay for it through the app? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's all through the app.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, pretty easy. That was simple. Nothing. I
So-
was curious.
Just a question. So the actual charging stations, those will take up to 5 stalls, right? The cars, the 6 stalls, those will take up to 6 stalls. And then you have your cars, which are another 8, which will be taking up another 8, right?
So we took down, it was like a total of
12.
14, I think, and we put 8 back. And the reason behind that is we made them wider, so they're a little bit more accommodating for a user that's going to charge a vehicle. And we've also designed for accessibility, so we've got an accessible path of travel back to the front of the Walmart building.
By the way, I'm totally encouraged by this, and I like the location. The Walmart, I know we're not interfering there with the guards because those stalls are usually empty anyway. Do people from Verizon and Sports Clips, do they park in that area ever?
I'm
They
not
don't?
sure.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
As a citizen, I don't think so.
There's a lot of empty ones over there at the
Okay,
time.
thanks.
You should be on, Mark.
Mayor, Council, there is a cross shared parking agreement within Walmart and within the surrounding businesses. So there is a shared agreement, and they've needed that in the past for some of the users. For example, when Vasa was there, for them to be able to meet their totals and things. But again, at this point, I'm not sure it will make a big difference, but there is a recorded parking agreement with the various property owners.
Yeah, because I just know that area around by Chase Bank is terrible parking right there. So I know they bleed over there, but you're far enough north that I don't think it's an issue. So appreciate it, thanks.
So this caught my eye. It doesn't typically catch my eye, but it had to do with the landscaping. I noticed, because we're going to lose a couple trees and then 3 are going to go back in there. But where one of the trees is proposed on the far west side, northwest side, there's already trees there. So probably going to need to find another spot to put another tree. I just happened to be going by there today, and I looked, I'm like, there's already trees in that area. So just something I think that where we require the trees to be replaced, probably need to find another spot, because from my perspective, this landscaping plan seems not to be entirely accurate.
Yeah, we can definitely work with the staff on where to document that, but the contractor will definitely,
Yeah.
we've
It's just that
allocated
trees
for
are
the
such a
trees.
precious resource over here, you know?
Yeah, yeah, we
And
all
hard to
love
keep
trees.
alive,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So looking at your application, the DRC review section is blank. Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
That was big because when we did it and sent them back their comments, we didn't have DRC with them before then.
Okay, perfect. And then my other question, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but the impact on other businesses, particularly during construction, how do we see that happening?
Yeah,
Or
so
what can we do to mitigate the influence on other businesses?
we're very sensitive to impacting the customer experience. So during construction, the store manager, we like to be neighborly. We'll work with the adjacent businesses as needed, but the construction area will be fully contained and screened to keep the public out and protected. And the construction period is only 6 weeks, so they're hoping to get in and out. Sometimes it's quicker. We've also been working with Rocky Mountain Power in advance of this, so to schedule their work and how it can overlap and limit the construction timeline out there. But we're cognizant of people's experience when they come to this center and want to make sure it's still a good experience, and so that's we're all thoughtful about when we work with the contractor on what their proposed schedule looks like and inspections with the town and cities and so.
And then tell me about the other projects that you've done similar to this.
So Walmart's implementing their own EV charging network nationwide. So we're one of their preferred consultants to assist with that. We're in design now on 300 projects across the country. They're all in similar nature and scope to what we're doing here in the city of Saratoga Springs. And it's just building out that robust charging network that gives electric vehicle drivers peace of mind. When they travel, they can count on the network that Walmart's going to be implementing here, so they all know that where they can go to get a charge. They'll be open, and reliable 24/7, adequately lit and safe, and providing a retail experience for locals. When they need to charge, they can come in and shop as well and kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for bringing the amenity here, and thank you both staff and developer for designing with accessibility. I can tell that it's really easy to get to and from, and I actually park right there very often, so I know, and I think this will be great. So,
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, great. If there are no other questions or comments from the council, I will take a motion.
I move that we approve business item number 1, major site plan amendment for Walmart EV charging station located at 136 West Crossroads Boulevard. Megan Farrell as the applicant.
I second.
Were there any findings and conditions in the application?
Was there, with all the findings and conditions listed in the packet.
Okay, we have an amended first,
And a second.
amended second. So we have a first from Councilmember Barton and a second from Taylor. I will do a vote. Davenport,
Yes.
Wadman,
Yes.
Wilson,
yes.
Barton,
Yes.
Taylor.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to business item 2, site plan for Saratoga Town Center, located, lot 304, located at 1508 North Redwood Road. Austin Cooper, JDH Development as applicant.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So unless I'm incorrect, I do not see our applicant here this evening. If you'd like me to proceed with my presentation, I'm happy to do so.
That's great, please.
Very well. So the following item, as mentioned, is a site plan for Lot 304 of the Saratoga Town Center development, located at 1508 North Redwood Road. roughly at the northeast corner of Crossroads Boulevard and Redwood Road. This site plan is largely in compliance with code. There were a number of items that were noted as conditions of approval. I'll cover those here in my presentation this evening, but did want to point those out. Here is the proposed site plan for the building. As mentioned, it is compliant with code. It is parked at 4 stalls per 1,000 square feet. They're wanting to pursue uses that are similar to their building just to the east of this building, kind of in the recreation space for users for this building. One of those conditions that I mentioned of approval has to deal with the drive aisles. As part of this, we requested that the applicant submit to us an overall conceptual site plan for the development, which raised some of these questions for these conditions of approval that we've added to the staff report, and then here to the presentation to the checklist as it was submitted with the staff report. The drive aisles, as I noted, when we were going through our review and looking at these adjacent areas, there was some concern that they would meet the 24-foot width requirement. As I stated, this is a conceptual site plan. We've spoken with the applicant about this and the applicant's engineer, and they fully intend for these to be 24 feet in width at a minimum, similar to what has been developed and approved throughout this site plan. This was just for showing conceptually what could be there. The other one that has to deal with off-site condition of approval is interconnection between the property. This was something that we looked at and wanted to make sure was being met. Code states that the site must be interconnected with adjacent sites to allow for maximum off-street circulation throughout the site. This area shown here on the screen was the particular area of concern. We met with the applicant on this, and they said that they fully intend to establish an east to west connection, possibly through the building that's shown on the western side there, to make sure that there's circulation throughout the site that can comply with code. It was just something that we wanted to know as we were looking at the plans. Here are the elevations proposed for this building. They are consistent with the building to the east of this one, to continue with the theming in the buildings on this site. So these materials are consistent with what was approved at that other area as well. As far as the landscaping and fencing is concerned for the site, there was one item that we noted as well that deals with the decorative rock that's being used on the site. Code requires that all decorative rock must be a contrasting color to the pavement and must be earth-toned in color. They were proposing a gray rock for this site. That's something that we've spoken with them about, and they intend to revise and update on their plans. With that, staff will stand for any questions that you may have.
Okay, I'll open up to the council for questions. I've turned everyone's mics on.
I'll go first. So in the executive summary, it talks about an indoor recreational use for 25,000 square feet. And then once you get to Exhibit A, it looks like, or sorry, Exhibit 5, it looks like it's potentially subdivided into 6 units. And so I just wanted a little more clarification about the use of the building and whether it will be, the executive summary gave me the impression that it's one use for all 25,000 square feet, where some of the exhibits gave me a different impression. So can you clarify that?
Absolutely, yeah. So the floor plan does show that it can be up to 6 units. What will likely happen is that they'll lease out multiple units to one user. I would anticipate in this building that we'll see more than one user. Similarly to the building to the east, I believe there was maybe, I think it was maybe 11 different units that they had out, and ultimately what it's come down to is 2 users that are sharing those 11 units. So there is the possibility that this could be multiple units as shown on the floor plan. but we do anticipate it with the targeted user that they're going after, that it's likely that it'll be, you know, between 1 or 2 users in this space.
Yeah, so the flexibility of this construction, though, allows for down the road, if that user vacates, they could subdivide it to 6 individual uses.
Correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So would 6 be the maximum? that they
Yeah,
would-
as indicated by the floor plan, yes.
So the question I had is, parking for that building that's east, have we seen any problems with that, with the big, I know there's 2 vendors in there, and one big one, and they don't have an issue with parking, right?
Neither of those users have opened to the public at this point, so we haven't been able to observe how
Okay.
that's going to work.
Okay, perfect.
Part of that concern for circulation on site is directly related to that as well. If people are coming in and out, they need to be able to get in and out smoothly, so.
And I know we have some parking north, but is that gonna rob from that future development? So the parking so if you go back with the red, yeah, go right there.
It's this one.
Go one more down, sorry, right there. So with those arrows right there,
Mm-hmm,
that parking lot, is that gonna be, because eventually there's gonna be another
mm-hmm.
builder that comes in. Are we borrowing from their parking we're not? So
Not
that is
at this
dedicated to them.
None of that has been approved at this time.
Okay.
This is just a conceptual layout. At this point in time, yes, when that project gets approved, it'll have its parking that is,
And we
you
won't
know,
consider this to be theirs, this goes to the
no.
building to the south, okay. Thank you.
Can I ask, is this the same developer who's doing the Inspire Sports Complex
Yes.
next to it?
This
Okay.
is all under single ownership, so,
Okay, single ownership.
yeah. And they do have,
So is it, and it looks like they have another phase, so this is the second phase of possibly 3?
yeah, so, as it's shown on the conceptual site plan right now, there's a building to the north, I guess, of the building to the east, that looks like it will come in at some point. To the north of this building, there are 2 buildings. The applicant hasn't stated their intent as to whether or not they're going to do those as 2 separate phases or under a single phase. And there's also a building to the south of this building that we've seen a conceptual plan submitted by.
So on the west side?
So to the south of this
Okay.
building here. I don't know if I have the full, I know it was included, that full conceptual site plan, but there is a lot or a building just south of this one that the developer has yet to build as well.
And these are zoned they're intended to be a recreational,
Yeah, so the zoning on the property is regional commercial, and
Regional
so
commercial, so it
we've
can
seen a mix of, strip retail uses in here, restaurants, but then also larger buildings like this where the targeted user tends to be somebody who's using more of that space
Yeah.
than.
wish it was a climbing gym, but Do they have an intended tenant, or are they building the building and then finding the tenant? Do you know that?
I think that it's kind of a mix of both. They have a couple of tenants that I know that are interested. I don't think that they've locked anyone in for this site at that
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
The, that drive on the north side of the building, you kind of indicated it, like, that's in this plan right here. Is that existing parking to the east right there where that north drive is?
No, there's.
Is that just conceptual?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at that, and you said that that needs to be 24. That's going to be 24 feet.
Correct.
I'm just looking at that driveway, or that island looks like it's right, that it's not aligned with it. But so that's conceptual. That's not something right now. Okay. That'll be
Correct.
taken care of. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, if there are no other questions or comments from the council, I will entertain a motion.
I move that the city council approve the requested site plan for Saratoga Town Center Lot 304 located at 1508 North Redwood Road with the findings and conditions in the staff report.
Okay, we have a first from Councilman Taylor,
Second?
second from Councilmember Barton. I'll do a vote. Let's go Taylor,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Wadman,
Yes.
Davenport.
Yes.
That passes unanimously. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
We'll go to our third business item, contract award for the new pedestrian crossing at 400 South Patriot Park. Project Resolution R2605, dated today. Who's presenting? Jeremy? Great.
Mayor and council, this is the final, I guess, approval of a multi-step process. So if you remember, last year we worked with some residents in that area. We did a series of traffic studies to quantify and what we call warrant, determine if there's the data supports the crossing. It did. And then you directed us to come back to you for a final authorization prior to expending funds. So this project is estimated to cost about $85,000. Obviously, there's, like all construction projects, there's always some unknowns during construction, but it's about $60,000 of hard construction costs. And then we're gonna do in-house the flashing beacon signs. That's about another $20 in parts that we're gonna order directly.
20,000.
Yeah.
You said
These
$20.
are $20,000,
Yeah.
sorry.
Unless you're getting government pricing is aggressive.
And we've done a series of these, if you've seen them. That was part of the traffic calming policy that we updated with you guys, I think about a month or two ago. It sets a criteria for where we put these regional trails usually. So you'll see a few of these on regional trail crossings, and then there's also a criteria that they are appropriate where there's a regional facility. So we don't want to put these just anywhere that there's a school crossing or pedestrian crossing, but if there's a regionally significant trail or destination, such as Patriot Park, these do make sense for a mid-block crossing to help make it safer. And then this project also includes curb bulb outs, so you'll see on both sides of the road, they'll build out their curb a little bit where the park, into those parking areas or those shoulders to help. Again, our goal is to make this a safe crossing, as safe as possible, with the flashing lights, the bulbed out curb. And so with your approval, we'll start working on that.
Great. So I'm going to add a little color before I open up to the council. So we did approve this last year. We did a traffic study, I think in July. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, there was about a series of 2 or 3 different ones. Yes.
Right.
Some were when school was not in session, and then we also did
Yeah.
follow-up ones with school in session.
And the numbers were, if I remember right, the numbers were just on the verge of not technically qualifying, but we as a council felt that because it was in the summer maybe, that the numbers were not quite there, what they would normally be in the school year, so we went ahead and approved it. So I'll open that up to the council for any questions or comments.
Quick comment, Jeremy, thank you. I'm really glad to see this going in, and I think you said about 160,000 would be the cost when you were talking about it, and I'm really glad to see that come in like half of that. So, great job.
Yeah, part of that's our ability to do some of this work in-house. So we have a very capable electrical and streets department, and so again, they've gotten pretty good at doing these solar-powered flashing beacons, and that's saving us quite a bit of money.
Yeah, thank you.
So Jeremy, thank you. One thing that I wanted to state is whether it's direct or indirect to the city, a lot of people want these crosswalks up. There is a process, and we went through that process like Mayor said. I mean, we've been talking about this since July. So there is a process, and we just want to make sure that people are aware that this was under council and under advisement from staff. We didn't, and we hear a lot of requests, but there is a process and a measuring way of getting these approved, so thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions from the council, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve business item number 3, contract award for the new pedestrian crossing at 400 South by Patriot Park project, resolution R2505, dated today.
R26.
R2605, sorry, dated today.
I second the motion.
Okay, second from Councilmember Barton, first from Barton, second from Wilson. Taylor?
Yes.
Wadman?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Barton?
Yes.
Davenport?
Yes.
Okay, that passes unanimously. That concludes our business items for tonight. We will go to our work session, Center Cal Downtown Conceptual Plan Review. And I'm going to turn off council mics until after the presentation.
Mayor and council, good to be with you tonight. It's nice to see you all on the dais. I'd like to introduce to you, we're going to talk about a conceptual plan in a work session tonight. I'd like to introduce Jordan Peterson with Landmark Design, and John Paul Wardy with CenterCal. So I'm going to invite them up to talk about the conceptual plan, and I think this table right here will control it. So it is a work session. Feel free to ask questions, and we'll just work through this process. Oh, sit on this side, you guys. And I'll sit on this side. I'm new. At least this is working, huh?
So
Okay.
because this is a work session, council, I'm going to turn all the mics on. So if you're not looking to speak at the moment, turn your green light off. And if you want to ask a question during the work session, go ahead and turn your mic on, and we'll see how that goes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and city staff. My name is John Paul Wardy. I'm the CEO of CenterCal Properties. Thank you for having us up here this evening. We are extremely excited to share with you our vision for the downtown plan. We've been working on this project with staff for a year
Or more.
or more. I was going to say 18 months, but it's been so much fun that it's gone very quickly. But we are extremely excited and would love to share with you. Please feel free to ask questions, or let me know if I'm moving too quickly or too slow. A little bit about CenterCal. We've been in business since 1998. We are about $3 billion of assets under management, about 160 employees. We've developed several projects in the market, including Station Park, Mountain View Village, Canyon Corners, and Park City. And we're currently working on the collective at Morning Vista and Lehigh. And have really come to love Utah and the community. And we're vertically integrated, so we do all of our own leasing, development, construction management, property management, in-house marketing. We believe it's really important to have those disciplines in-house. One of the things that maybe sets us out is our tenant relationships, which is really important in developing these projects. And we've been around a long time, and we really built a lot of credibility with retailers in bringing these projects together. This is just a map of our projects. So we span from California, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Idaho, and Tennessee. As I've said, our business plan is to develop these projects and hold them long-term. So we put an eye into long-term quality and how the projects will operate over the long term. One of the most important things that we believe of these projects is the events and activations. Used to be 10 years ago, you could find a great piece of property, bring great retailers in, and you'd have a successful project. Today, we think that's about 50% of the opportunity. The other 50% is really connecting with the community, creating opportunities for people to gather and to come together. And we think that's something that we do really well. This is the conceptual plan overlaid on an aerial. So this includes all 290 acres. And you can see from Pioneer Crossing, the future Mountain View corridor, everything in between. We've broken the project down into two phases, phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 would be a more traditional retail, and phase 2 would become a higher density project. And I'll walk through a couple of case studies why that's kind of a natural progression of these projects, really building the address and the credibility of the project initially, and then being able to come in with higher quality and more density in future phases. This is a rendering of what phase 1 could look like next to the grocery store. Grocery store would be on the right, a bookstore directly in front. A lot of our projects are showcased by community space and outdoor gathering spaces. And this is a rendering of what phase 2 could look like, with a park area, which is also a hallmark of what we do, but really creating a place for people to gather and create events, really activated by a movie theater and restaurants and retail. Some of the community benefits that we've seen in these projects is really creating a place for the community to gather and to come together. And we believe that we can bring a project that would enable the community to do that. Increase tax revenues, employment opportunities, enhance community amenities and quality of life. Just being able to grab a meal or come and see a movie in an environment that would be a lot of outdoor spaces and a lot of community gathering spaces. And it really becomes a catalyst for future development, including office, which we know is something that's important to the city. Other financial benefits to the city is new sales tax revenue, property tax revenue, and permanent job creation. It also put the city ahead of the competition in terms of just creating, that premier place for your community together. Long-term fiscal responsibility. What we've seen and we'll show in some of our case studies is when you create a great place, it increases quality development around it. And we've seen that in a number of projects that we've developed. And the other thing was just the decision of when to develop the project. Do you do it now? Do you do it later? And so really being able to take advantage of retailers that are in the market today and start building a foundation to build this long-term project, we think is really important. I'll look at a couple of case studies. So this is Mountain View Village, which was developed in Riverton. We developed this project in 2 phases. The first phase was anchored by Harmons and Sierra Trading Post, TJ Maxx, Ross, Old Navy. We felt this phase in the beginning was important because it creates activity and creates the traffic that enables you to build the second phase. And the second phase started about a year later, and we developed it with a movie theater and tenants like Anthropologie and Lululemon and a great collection of restaurants. North, we just opened the second Flower Child in the state, but it's really been a great community gathering place. It includes, a great common area, great fountain, but it has enabled us to really do a lot of activities and events and bring this community together. The Village at Meridian was a project we built in Meridian, Idaho. Very similar, built phase 1 initially, and phase 2 came behind it. And this is a project we're just starting a second phase, which will include tenants like Alo Yoga and Vori and Capital Grill. These projects are similar in scale. Mountain View Village, first phase was 400,000 feet. Second phase was about 430,000 feet. And Meridian, first phase was 250,000 feet, and the second phase was 550,000 feet.
And sorry, what are the sizes of the 2 phases in this project?
First phase of Saratoga would be 580,000 feet, and the second phase would be 790, which includes all the residential as well.
And is there a third phase to the Saratoga project?
We believe that phase 2 will most likely be developed in phases, in kind of sub-phases, as we, coming back to it.
Yeah, so looking at your phase 2, you've got kind of that core downtown area, and then you've got that entire north area. That's all considered phase 2?
Phase 2 stops, the 790 stops where we show phase 2, but there's additional land that would be developed, which would be in addition to.
So that'd be that canal would be the demarcation from any additional phases?
Yes.
Okay, so that's on top of the 790?
Correct.
Okay. Or, yeah, 790. Okay, thank you.
And phase 2 really being planned a much more dense project on the residential. and will most likely take a little bit of time to be able to get the rents to support that type of density. But we believe that starting with phase one, that it really creates the address, creates the activity center, will be critical to the success of phase two and the future phases.
Can you define what you mean by a more dense product? I know what this land is vested for, so like what is your vision on this?
If you look at this
Yeah, this
image,
It's got a lot more residential than phase one.
the residential would be a combination of some 4-story surface parked, some wrap, and some podium, which would be retail on the ground and residential above facing the park. So we think having a mix of those uses would be important.
Okay. You
What
don't
about-
know, I know this is really conceptual, so if you don't have the answer, that's fine. But in phase two, like what type of residential density are you envisioning, like number of units?
It's really going to depend on the type of the typology. If we did a podium, that would be 120 units to the acre, and if we did a surface park, it'd be 40 units to the acre.
Okay.
And a wrap would be in the 60 to 70 units per acre.
Okay. And just for the 3 people watching from home, this is not new vested density. This is vested density through the DAP. So from 2008, yep. This is vested density that would just take density from other parts of the DAP and put it here, right? So they have the ability to do this. Okay?
Can you-
And we are open mic, so.
Can you tell me, the Mountain View Village, is there housing right in?
There is not housing. There is a planned housing development that's 350 units.
And where is
which-
that gonna be located comparatively to?
It is
East.
behind the theater.
Okay. I just hadn't noticed it yet, and I'm like, I'm up there all the time, and so I was like, wait, have I not noticed the
It's
housing?
currently dirt.
Okay, thank you, that's,
So we just put a sign up for an Abercrombie store, and it's right adjacent to
okay,
Abercrombie.
thank you.
So why, can you please explain why phase two or includes the residential, but phase one does not have residential, or does it have residential with the vertical mixed use?
Phase one does have residential that is surface parked. So the rents today would support a surface park solution. As we get into more expensive construction, we need rents to go up, or we need support in helping to pay for parking structures, just because the cost of the parking and the cost of the density is. And so part of our plan would be to start with phase one, create the address, and over time, we believe that the vibrancy will grow, and that will enable us to build more density.
In phase two, the anticipated park gathering area, how much land are you considering committing towards that?
I think this was shown at about an acre, about 40,000 feet.
And how many acres was phase two altogether?
Phase two acreage was about 40 acres.
So 40 acres of buildings and then 1 acre, I mean, not 40 acres, so.
40 acres
1
including
acre of open
everything.
space and then the rest is the buildings.
Yes.
Okay.
And just for the council as kind of something to keep in the back of your mind, when Patriot Park was built, the developer, the SLR, PRI, they actually dedicated 25 acres to the city. So they have a credit that they could apply towards a project like this to meet their open space requirements. So there's a variety of ways that they could get that. So if you're concerned that the acreage isn't necessarily in this location, they do have the ability to apply some of those pre-dedicated acres elsewhere here in Patriot Park to meet some of these open space needs.
My concern is that with this development, 1 acre seems to kind of miss the mark on having a downtown area that's walkable. We have, just 1 acre kind of in the center there, but and some of these open spaces along the outside of it, but it doesn't seem to fit that idea of a downtown walkable area in my mind. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, it's kind of hard to see in the imagery, but if you look at what's on the screen, if you look at the depths of the sidewalks and the landscaping, and it's a very walkable project, and I would say one of our hallmarks is creating a walkable environment.
But it's just 1 acre in the center there that's walkable for the most part, in between those buildings there, other than on the exterior of the property along the outsides, correct?
The sidewalks, one of the things that we've found is these park areas, people enjoy them, people like to see people. And so we've seen a lot of projects where there's a very large park and it's not activated and nobody wants to spend time in it. And what we've seen is that when a park or a community space is done well, it's activated. And that activation typically comes from restaurants and food, because people will, grab something to drink or something to eat and spend time there. And so for what we found is it's not really the size of the park, it's how well it's designed. And part of what we've spent a lot of time on is how do we design these park areas to where they feel vibrant on a Tuesday morning when there's 3 people in it, and on a Saturday night when there might be 5,000 people in a concert.
I just don't want to get into a situation where we got like Mountain View Village there, where that area seems to be enclosed by the theater, and it's off to the side. It's not a center of the development. This looks a little bit more like that. I do have concerns, though, about the size and it just being in the center of it versus throughout the entire development, more of a longer type walk instead of a 1 acre there right in the center. Do you understand what I'm
Yes,
what I'm getting at?
and there will be parkettes and patios and common areas kind of throughout the project. But one of the things that's important is if we make the parks too big, they feel empty. And it's not an area that people want to spend time in.
Understand.
Question, you mentioned events. Is that something that CenterCal programs, or is that something the city programs, or is there opportunities to use both with that space?
There's really opportunities to do both. In a number of our projects, we've been the only participant. We have a project in Seattle where we have partnered with the city, and the city does certain events that are important to the city. And so we've done both successfully, I would say. Just depends on the community. And
What's how big is at Mountain View Village? Only because that's close to us, so I'm sure we see that more often. What's the open space? What's the acreage on that?
I
Not
would
the open
say,
space, but the park area.
I'm sorry, yeah.
The park area.
The park
yeah.
area, yeah.
I'd say that park area is about 30,000 feet.
Okay, because it is smaller and it's kind of off to the side, like Councilmember Taylor was saying about that. So I just was curious. Thank you. This does look more open and more spread out.
So I was part of a, 18-month process where we kind of visualized what this was going to be. I toured Farmington Station. I shopped there. I can never remember what's the one called up north, just up north of here?
Mountain View Village?
Mountain View.
Yeah.
I always call it Pioneer something. I've been to Mountain View. I've toured Mountain View Village. We were part of we had a committee of citizens and elected people and the landowner. And as you know, our concept, which was only concept, right, just to give you ideas, was quite different than this. And this is just conceptual, but as you lay out and design conceptual, how close do you often find your concepts come into practice? And I'm sure as you do these over and over, you learn. Like, I feel like Farmington Station, like the roads are way too tight. It doesn't feel walkable. It doesn't feel friendly to me. But if you go to the very south end of Farmington Station, there's that open green space and there's people outside, and I love that part of it. The rest of it feels quite claustrophobic. The one in Mountain View Village, feels too wide open to me. It feels like even phase 2 feels like just another strip mall almost, right? You got just lines of buildings. So I am encouraged by what I see and the imagery. I really like what it looks like you're doing in Idaho. I think that looks like a nice project. And I don't know, I don't really have anything direct. This is kind of my open mic feedback on what I'm looking at so far.
I would echo that the Meridian project, I like the architecture and also in the station. Yeah, just that, I like that. I mean, we have flat roofs and we have.
The building with the triangle pointed at top. That's what you're talking about.
I like that, a little bit of diversity. One thing that I want to, and I know Chris talked about the planning of this. This is going to be identifying what Saratoga Springs is, right, as a community. And we have the marinas areas and the North Shore, and I'm looking forward to that. But the downtown area, we've kind of built around it, and now we're going to build a downtown, which is, not. And so I want to make sure that it is a public area. I am concerned about the acre, because I hope that we have lots of events there, like even civic events and community events there and stuff like that. So I'm concerned a little bit about the acreage there as well, the open space. But I do like, one thing I do notice about Riverton in that area is, I think somebody said something about that about in Farmington. One area seems to be a little bit disconnected. Like there's one area that's flat and kind of business, and the other one is more dressy and fancy. And I like that this area, to me, should all be nice. And when I'm saying that, it's all nice, but just the high rise and the diversity of architecture and stuff like that, that's what I like. And I'm leaning more, if we could bring some of phase 2 into phase 1, I know that there's logistics and stuff like that too, but that's where.
In the picture you've got showing, it appears that most of your sidewalks, I'm just guessing, are like 12 feet in width.
Our standard sidewalk on these projects, especially in phase 2, would be 18 feet.
18 feet. So is that something that carries throughout phase 2? Because that will give it a much more open, walkable feel to have that
Yes.
size of a sidewalk.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
you carry that everywhere in phase 2.
Yeah, because you have you've got a 2-foot strip when you get out of the car. You've got basically a 7-foot planter, and then you have basically a 10-foot sidewalk.
And do you have restaurants that have like outdoor seating that go onto that sidewalk?
That would be in addition to that.
In
18
addition
feet.
to that, okay.
So that would have to be set back more to
Yes.
allow for outdoor seating. Doug, we do have code for outdoor seating because we do have those options. Okay. Will we have to address that in future amendments here?
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
I am curious, so I'm seeing a lot of retail. Is this all retail and commercial? Is there any office space or that included in this phase 1 that you're thinking about?
There's no office in phase 1.
Yeah. And in
that's
phase
just a-
2?
That's just a market condition
Yeah.
of what's happening in the market today.
What about
for
phase
office.
2?
Phase 2 could definitely have office.
Could definitely have.
Could
it.
have office.
I think we're very much for good office space, so that's maybe
Yeah.
some feedback as well. I think that's important to a lot of us as well, of having that, what did you call Mark? What do you call it? Like-
Job center.
Job centers.
Yes, yes.
I'm
that
curious,
kind of
did you start in the Northwest? Did you start here in Utah? Where are your headquarters?
We're based in California.
Oh, okay. I'm curious, because Bridgeport Village was finished, I grew up in Oregon, like when I was in high school, and I spent significant time there when it opened. So I'm very familiar with that, actually much more than the Utah projects. I'm curious how that doesn't really have an open space, but it is very walkable. It's very, that's where the teens wanted to be
We
in 2006.
in that project, we built it in 2004.
Yeah.
And we recently did about a $30 million remodel. Just came in and refreshed it, because you learn a lot, and every project is different. And what I would say about this project is it wants to be uniquely to the city of Saratoga Springs. And so we have a lot of experience in other projects, but this project wants to be unique and different in exactly what the community wants. So we'll spend a lot of time with you trying to understand that.
So you brought that up. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean to?
Yeah, what does it mean to make it uniquely Saratoga Springs? Like what, have you gotten into that yet on concepts, on design features, architecture that would help people really identify that?
No, because I think we would want to have the community be part of that process.
Okay.
How have you included communities in that process before?
It's pretty what I'd call low tech. In a lot of cases, what we've done is had community meetings. we'll put pictures up on the wall and give people stickers and let them put stickers on.
It's a great way to do it.
on, you know, so it's not very high tech, but you get a lot of, and what's interesting is how much the community will kind of gravitate towards certain things. You know, a lot of different people from different walks of life, and you'll see a lot of dots in certain images. And sometimes it's the architecture, but a lot of times it might just be, how does that image make you feel in terms of, you know, what is that image? Is it warm? Is it modern? And that'll give you a lot of sense for the community and what people really want to see.
But I was just gonna say, I know we're giving feedback and this is a working session, but all the places I've been to that you have been involved with, I've always been impressed. Just want to make sure that we have our, has Saratoga Springs all over it. But I also want to say thanks for this presentation. I know we're still in the middle of it, but this level of detail is greatly appreciated. It gives me a visual. I mean, I can see it on here, but something I can take home and look at. I love the hands-on. Thanks, appreciate it.
Thank you.
So again, this is all conceptual, so it's probably difficult to pin down, and I tend to be that kind of guy that likes to pin things down, so please pardon me for asking these questions. You show on the west side there, what it looks like is a canal, is that correct? Or is that a dry creek type thing that's going to be built?
This is currently a canal.
That's the current canal?
It is there today.
Okay. What would be the concept for that canal? Not just a culvert, but is it going to be, what do you think that's going to look like? Because I also see there's it looks like a pond or a small lake there that you've got conceptually there as well.
That small lake is detention for Mountain View corridor.
Okay.
And so that was
So it'll
given
be a
to us
dry
by
retention area.
by UDOT. And so my guess is that probably has a lot of change to it as that gets further designed.
Okay.
But that was something that just showed up on some of the offsite drawings that we
But
were
with the
getting.
canal, you've got to work with the canal company and how that's going to look, and because we have the canal that runs through Harvest Hills, and there's a nice walkway through there, and I imagine that your concept here is to have green areas and walkable along that canal. Is that correct?
That would be the goal, and it may also be that we might want to pipe some of that canal. So I think we would want to figure out.
You want to
what
bury some of it?
Potentially.
Okay, you'd be giving up some green space then, wouldn't you?
I don't think it would be large areas, but, you know, some of the crossings and.
Well,
some of
crossings,
those
of
things.
course, yeah.
It's an interesting concept. The canal only runs for the bulk of the summer. So from a maintenance standpoint, do you really want a dry ditch for half of the year? So I can see the value, and different developers would want to approach this differently. But if they choose to pipe it, you know, from a conservation standpoint, it actually helps with evaporation and other things. It also helps with maintenance and other things. So again, you can amenitize it, and at the same time, you know, there's pros and cons to it. So certainly something that can be worked on.
Aesthetically, it'd be nice, you know, in the summer, because that's really when people are going to be walking, and there's water in the canal. So I understand the economic aspect of needing to pipe it versus keeping that. I'm very concerned about open space, and that's why I'm asking these questions. If we can preserve it as much as possible, I would like to see that.
Mark, this retention pond, I mean, this material was created recently, but is this part of the compromise to get Mountain View below grade?
Yes.
To have that retention pond
Yeah,
there?
their concept plans do show a series of these types of detention ponds along there, so
Okay.
yes.
And was this
realistic.
plan done with the understanding of Mountain View being below grade with the frontage roads? Because this is where it is below grade, it's on your west border.
Yes.
Okay. And then another question I had, you talked about Mountain View Village, thank you very much. Phase 2 starting about a year after phase 1. Is that approximately how you envision this project going? As far as timing goes, you'd start phase 1, which would essentially be a bit of a carbon copy of retail we have today. Hopefully with new branding, new names that we don't have today, and new sales tax revenue, where we're not just eating our current revenue. but phase two coming in quickly after that.
That would be the goal. Part of the discussion we'll need to have collectively is how dense do we want the project to be? The denser the project is, the more we need rents to move, or the more support the project needs in terms of parking and other costs.
Sure. And you,
Can you expand on that a little bit? The denser the project, meaning what exactly?
So-
The more vertical it goes, or the more?
Yes, the more vertical it goes. So a surface parked project, both for the retail and for residential, I would say parking stalls today are $20,000 to $25,000 a stall. So in today's rent market, it's hard to make that density pencil because the cost of parking is so expensive. So as rents go up, it becomes more feasible to do that. So today, it would be hard to make that density work. But as the project gets built and rents go up, it becomes more feasible to do phase two.
so, sorry, you still have more?
I have one. So your residential, what kind of range or square footage are you looking per unit?
I would say anywhere from 800 to 1,000 square feet on average.
Okay, so
For
I've
the
been saying this for
multifamily.
a while. To me, and I'm not a commercial real estate developer, but this has got to be one of the most valuable pieces of commercial property in all of Northwest Utah County. You're sitting on the intersection of essentially two freeways with Pioneer Crossing at Build Out and Mountain View Corridor. Now that said, the density we're talking about just cannot be supported until we have Mountain View Corridor freeway. The stuff that's projected to be done by about 2032, 2031. Does that fall in line with the density that you foresee coming into phase two?
I think that it's as much about what gets built in that time frame as it is around the freeways. So part of the issue is if you do a rent survey in Saratoga Springs, there aren't currently rents to support building higher density product. And so as the projects get built
Commercial
of
rent or
quality-
residential?
Residential rents.
Oh.
Yeah.
But if we're
And
able.
we don't have a lot of for rent. We have two apartment complexes in the entire city.
And that's it, yeah.
Contrary to what people think, we have two apartment
That's
complexes. Right? So it's, you got a pretty small sample size.
But our goal would be to build phase one, including very high quality surface park residential that enables us to build the market, and we keep growing from there. And so
So-
we're proving, I'm sorry.
No, you keep going.
We're proving that the quality product will achieve certain rents, and we keep growing. So if we went out on a vacant field today and said we're gonna build, podium product, it probably wouldn't be successful. But we build phase one of retail, we build phase one of residential, and we continue to grow. And that allows us to, the tenants we're gonna want in phase two are gonna wanna see more retail success. So we build phase one that enables us to show high quality sales, which enables us to get better tenants. And the same thing is gonna happen on the residential. We build high quality surface park, and then we achieve higher rents and enables us to continue to grow.
Question on that. You said that you have good relationships with your tenants in all the projects you're doing. I was looking at all the other projects, and I do know several of them. Does that mean that it's easier for you as a company? Are there people who want to come in? Do you have people in mind who are already clamoring for this as you're talking to them?
Yes, absolutely. But
And are they unique businesses that we currently don't have in the city?
yes,
It looks like there's a lot of high-end businesses in many of your.
I was just gonna
A lot of their
comment.
phase twos.
Yeah, I was
Apple
gonna
Store,
come
that's
on
what I'm
that, where
saying.
Mountain View Village is a good example of that, where it has just the base, they're great stores, but then you have a little bit of the ones that you don't see all over the place in phase two. So a lot of my questions were about phase one and phase two, but most of them have been answered from other questions. So, so I appreciate all the questions, thanks. But my thing is, so when it comes, so Mountain View Village, you started phase two about a year after, and your other projects have you been able to start phase two that quickly as well, or is it, I know it depends kind of on how well phase one does, as you've been talking about, but what have your other projects look like?
so Station Park we built in the GFC. So we built in the great financial crisis. We started construction. We had 3 leases signed. We had a retailer by the name of JCPenney who we were working with. It seems like a long time ago that would be an anchor tenant.
It does, actually.
And 1 week we got a call from JCPenney and said, you know, we told you we're going to take your project to committee, but we canceled our committee meeting and we don't know when we're going to have the next committee meeting. And then we had 2 other signed leases and the tenant said, we're just not going to open. And so we basically stopped construction. And you can imagine that our site work was halfway done. A lot of developers would have had to hand the keys back to the lender at that point, just given, you know, retailers were just not doing new projects. We started back construction. Our investor said, you can build whatever you want. It's just got to be 70% leased. So phase 1 of Station Park was 70,000 feet. It was Harmon's and a little building next to it. And then we built, you know, the next building and the next building and the next building. And then we were finished. But I would say it was probably 15 phases because we needed to create that momentum and we needed to create, and Harmon's was willing to move forward where a lot of the soft good retailers, you know, the Best Buys and a lot of retailers that were there, they just said, you know, we're in a recession, a depression, whatever you would have called it. And so we were able to move forward in a way that enabled us to create momentum and continue to move forward.
Would it be Centrical's intention to develop the entire acreage of this triangle, or would you be looking to get vesting and you know, some type of agreement and then sell off parts of this to other developers?
I would say that everything that's within the triangle is property we would develop. In certain cases, we have partnered with residential developers.
Okay.
Just depends on, sometimes the projects get so large as a single investment that it's enables us to move forward. But it's a lot of land and a lot of investment. So I would say our goal would be to develop all of it, but it may be that we would bring in a residential partner for maybe 1 or 2 pieces.
Mark, do you remember the acreage of this, and not phase 1, 2 triangle, but the entire triangle?
I think it's something like 180 acres.
180 total?
Total.
And that includes north of the canal?
That's within the boundaries of the Mountain View Corridor,
Okay.
as well as, I think, the expanded Pioneer Crossing. Ballpark, that's what I'd guess.
Okay.
guess it is.
And there is, I believe there's 70 acres of dedication
For Mountain View Corridor, Pioneer Crossing?
for all of the,
Yeah.
In the size of this overall project, the entire triangle, how does that compare to, you know, in the other projects you've done as far as size go?
I would say
Is it in the middle?
Meridian is about 90 acres, so it's close. Station Park, I think, was about 80 acres. And so land was, this project would have more residential. Those 2 projects don't have any residential. Mountain View Village was an agreement with the landowner that we bought it from, that we wouldn't do any residential because they had a lot of land around us and they wanted the residential to be done in those areas. We developed a project in Seattle called Totem Lake, which is on 26 acres. It has 850 units and 400,000 feet of retail. So it's much more dense on a much smaller piece of property.
So land-wise, it'd be one of the larger ones then?
Yes, from a land area perspective.
Okay.
Mayor Karn, to go back to your previous question, the current triangle, excluding the church that's currently being built, is 262 acres. And so I believe once you remove the right-of-way dedication for Pioneer Crossing and Mountain View Corridor, we'll be at that 180 to 190 acres.
So totally conceptual, I understand that. There is the one, we are in Utah, so I'm gonna ask the question, and the landowner's vested in this. There's one chapel down there. I don't see any other space, and you're talking about a lot of residential for any other civic uses, institutional uses, or school uses in here. How do you work around that when you're talking about so much additional residential? And I realize that this residential doesn't always bring in the number of students that other residential might, but it still needs to be accounted for. Do you plan into that as part of your project?
Absolutely. I think as we continue to develop the phases and see what that density is and get a more accurate count of number of units and number of students, I think we could definitely look at. And we have done on a number of our projects, daycare centers and and we've done some schools as well.
Yeah, I mean, just with this density alone, I can't imagine it wouldn't at least warrant one elementary school, at least, with this type of
Yeah.
density. Now, granted, we know that higher density has a lower student count.
Yeah.
So,
What is this? So, sounds like the success of phase one helps you move on to phase two. What does that success look like to you guys? Like, is it numbers? Is it? I'm sure. Well, it's always a numbers game, but what does that look like to you?
So one of the questions that Councillor Wilson asked was, well, you have all these great relationships. Can't you just bring these retailers? But when the retailers take it to their committee, they want to look at what are the sales in the neighborhood, because that validates, you know, if you're a publicly traded retailer or if you're a private retailer, a bad store can have a serious negative consequence. So the retailers do a lot of homework today. So today they've got a lot of tools. They want to see sales in the neighborhood. There's a lot of information on cell phone data. You know, where's their customer coming from? They have a lot of sales in terms of internet sales. Is their customer shopping online? So they put all of that together and form a opinion of what kind of sales they will do. And high volume sales that are already on site is the best way to validate a site's potential.
I guess the thing that I'm mostly concerned about is if we do phase one and then like there's no phase two, because obviously the big goal is this phase two, right? And so I guess just
the phase two is our downtown.
Yes, yes, and
And
so thank you. That helps. That helps kind of help with what does phase one have to look like for us to be able to get phase two? And I don't want to have phase one for 10 years and then eventually we get phase two or two, and so that's one of my concerns is just because phase one is a copycat of other things, which is fine. Like we need a lot of different stuff that might potentially come in here, but I think the goal is that phase two. So thank you.
So the phase one is a lot of big block, right? Is that
Yes.
usually?
But I would say that we have we have larger tenants that really drive
Right.
traffic, and then as you cross the street, there's a grocery anchored center, and you can see, you start to see just a much different, you see the park area on the corner and outdoor patios. So it's just a different experience in phase one than
Do you
the
expect
power
this to
center.
include like a hotel as well?
We
seen-
would definitely, if you look at that little purple building on top of phase two, that's shown as a hotel.
Okay.
And how do you make phase one and phase two feel cohesive?
I would say that you start with a vision for the whole project. And so signage, walkability, how the projects interact with each other. But it's really going to be the connection points for the sidewalks and branding and signage that connects them.
Okay, that's actually a really great question because Mountain View Village, it's not super easy to get from one side to the other. So I think for me, a big part of that would be, hey, I'd love to, because it's very busy you can't really, you can cross that road, but it's a little sketchy.
So
Right?
that's Eagles Pass. And from the beginning, we thought there should be a signal there. And the city didn't believe that there was going to be enough warrants.
Oh, it's busy enough that you would need it, yeah.
So we now have a stop sign, but that's been an ongoing discussion with the city in terms of.
Because it would be really great, there's more walkability in between the two areas.
Mark, what would the
Yeah.
classification of Market Street be in the cross-section? Jeremy walked out right at the wrong time.
Yeah, figures.
Are we talking, is that a 5-lane road?
Market Street? No, Market Street is probably going to be a smaller classification.
3-lane?
You're going to have 3-4 lanes. You're going to have multiple turn lanes
Turn
at
lanes,
the various
yeah.
configurations, but generally speaking, it's going to be limited access. So
Okay.
you're not going to be having necessarily. It's definitely a collector.
Okay.
We've had a lot of debate internally about, we've kind of drawn it as a superhighway. And we need to do.
Speaking of the devil.
Speaking of.
We need to do some engineering.
I had a question right when you walked out.
Yeah. They waited till you walked out, Jeremy. The question was, what's the classification of Market Street through this project area as a road? Microphone two.
And so what would that cross-section be of a collector?
Give me 2 seconds, but our collector road has the one travel lane each direction, the center lane, bike lanes.
Right. So
and then
essentially
got
3 lane,
normal-
yeah.
Normal 5-foot sidewalks.
Okay.
I can confirm that really quick for you.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I do want to echo what Mayor Karn said. This is prime real estate. There's 200,000 people between us, Eagle Mountain and West Lehigh, not to mention Bluffdale that's filling in. And without any of this kind of thing, I am personally kind of hesitant to put another strip mall right there if we have the opportunity. I am curious though, do you have any examples of working with civic institutions, having kind of community centers or small outposts or anything like that in your areas?
Yes, I can show you some examples of that.
Great, thank you.
Where we've worked with schools and other public activities.
Something that I would love to see, and this is, of course, not for right here, but as Mayor Karn had said, this has been a discussion for a really long time. So along with Mayor Karn for background knowledge and some with Doug as well, to kind of see what that plan kind of looked like, right, compared to what we're seeing here and that sort of thing. I think
our downtown visioning document is on the website.
go look at that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just for everybody to know too, right? So that's kind of what we're aware of, kind of what was talked about and what, because I know we got some resident input and stuff like that as well for that.
So we started cutting you off. Did you finish your presentation?
Sorry.
Let me
Sorry.
see.
Okay.
I gotta remember now.
We got through Meridian, I think we were at Station Park.
Yeah. So Station Park, so this was developed in 2000,
What did you call that? The Great Financial?
the Great Financial Crisis.
Okay.
So 2009, we developed this in 2000, starting in 2008, and finished it in 2011.
Love the architecture here.
Thank you.
It's in Farmington, other side of the freeway from Lagoon. It's where the Lagoon bus drops off.
Oh, Mayor, just to clarify, actually, we increased Market Street to a minor arterial with the last TMP update. So I think the last TMP update, 2025, we loaded it up with this downtown plan in that. So
Okay.
so that's 5 lanes. So the difference between that and our full arterial is just, it doesn't have those 30-foot landscaping buffers, but it's
Okay.
got the full.
But it does allow, I mean, technically, that connection between the east side of Pioneer Crossing and where it hits Buffalo changes our traffic dynamic considerably, having that come through. So having that, I think it needs to be 5 lane.
Yeah, it is, in the new TMP, correct.
Yeah, and will it be signalized within this project? Will that just be warranted out by traffic studies?
The current TMP shows one signal between Mountain View and Pioneer.
Somewhere
about
mid-project.
midpoint.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean that this project couldn't warrant additional signals when we get.
that'd be additional traffic
Yeah,
studies.
this would
Yeah.
have to do its own study and provide more detail
Right.
on a smaller scope than our
Okay.
master plan does.
Great,
5 lanes, Market Street?
yeah.
It's not 2 and 2 with
It's
the.
5 lanes.
Well, it's 2 at the Tenor lane,
Yeah,
5 lanes.
It's 3 lanes east of Pioneer Crossing, but 5 lanes between Mountain View and Pioneer Crossing, which makes sense. You're gonna have a lot more traffic.
A lot more traffic, yeah. And then on the west side of Market Street, Jeremy, is there Mountain View corridor direct access, or is it just frontage road access there, where you'd have to go to?
To the neighborhood?
The current plan shows that you could cross. So the
You
current
can
plan
cross,
shows
right,
it's
above,
crossing.
yeah, you're gonna cross above, but I'm saying, are there ramps there, or is that frontage going north to the Spaghetti Bullmore? To get on and off the freeway, where does the freeway access this property?
Let me pull that up. Give me 1 second.
Okay,
So Medical Drive is not expected to go through at the full Pioneer Crossing expansion.
Right.
So Medical Drive would not. Market Street is scheduled to go through. And I believe the connection with Buffalo would be an overpass now that they've got the sunken freeway
Right.
concept there. So
I'm wondering if you're on the middle of Mountain View corridor, the freeway section, where are you
So what
accessing
it
this?
shows, and I'm pretty sure this is still the current version, but they just released the
Mm-hmm.
final documents. you would have signals at both frontage roads. So you would have to actually continue north, and the on-ramp for northbound, there'd be an off-ramp. So if you're heading up Mountain View from the south, once you pass Market Street, there'll be a slip ramp to leave
Leave the
Mountain
freeway
View
and go.
and get on the frontage road.
Yep.
But to get back on, you'd have to actually stay on that frontage road that looks like all the way past Pioneer Crossing.
Okay,
And then for the reverse direction, there is an off-ramp, right, I think it's the same way. There's a slip ramp to get onto Mountain View corridor heading southbound.
okay.
So it's not very,
If you were to look at your transportation layer and turn on the Mountain View corridor as well as the Pioneer Crossing configurations, I believe that's fairly close to what you'd have. So as you come through the Spaghetti Bowl, eastbound on Pioneer Crossing, you would jump off of on a frontage road that would then run the length of this project area as a
Yep,
frontage road.
Frontage road.
And then you'd have frontage roads on both sides. The
Right.
frontage road on Pioneer Crossing would be essentially eastbound, and then the frontage road on the the eastern edge of Mountain View corridor would be northbound. And so that would kind of create a northeast direction on the boundaries of the project, with frontage roads that would have, kind of slip lanes jumping back on and off the freeway. And so you'd have the ability to get on and off in those front range configurations.
In a nutshell, through the dozens of meetings Mark and I had with UDOT, extremely challenging with the grade changes because you have going above to below.
Right.
And then there are safety distances, right? You can't have people trying to change lanes from the inside to the outside, fighting people who are trying to get on the freeway. So there's big, so again, if you're heading northbound, you can get off the main freeway onto the frontage road south of Pony or north of Market Street.
Okay.
But we tried to get one with Market Street, but that just geometrically wasn't possible.
Yep.
So if you're heading north and you wanna get on the frontage road, you'd have to get off prior to Pony, or you could get off just after Market Street, and then you could kind of loop around via Pioneer Crossing.
And-
And then kind of just reverse that for the southbound direction.
great. And then how does this connect with the neighborhood existing on the south end?
Sierra Estates
Yeah,
with the park. So
with,
there are.
with Neptune Park.
It connects intentionally in a disconnected way. So if you look at the.
Because there's a couple points in that neighborhood that
Yeah.
currently have like dead-end
You can
streets.
see on the Centricom exhibit, there are a few stub roads to the
Mm-hmm.
south, very south end, but those are intentionally made somewhat inconvenient so that it doesn't encourage cut through. So you'll see there are
Mm-hmm.
some stub roads, but you can't just, in theory, pop straight down the main road. You kind of have a couple zigzags to get to those connecting roads.
Interesting. The neighbors there want more connectivity. They want another way out of their neighborhood particularly, but they don't want people coming in. So that's the hard thing, right?
It
But
will
then,
be a
like during
one-way.
splash days, they say they can't get out because there's,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
think
when,
the thing
when
that's-
Neptune Park is programmed, it's hard
Just
for them to get out.
context, there's a road, Carlton Avenue, which is the road that borders Neptune Park on the east side.
Mm-hmm.
That road is wider than the other local road, so we call it a local collector. It doesn't meet our current collector full width with bike lanes, but it was built wider than a typical local road, for what that's worth.
So there was a project that's been undergoing for a couple of years called Fresh New Look Transit. I'm not sure who named it. But that project shows a transit hub in this property. Have you been involved in that at all, in those conversations? Are you aware of those
Is that
conversations?
BRT or?
It could be BRT, yeah, that's not defined. It just shows, somewhere on this property, a hub, yeah.
Over here on your right. Tippy and I have
Oh, right
attended
here
those.
with the nose.
Okay, that
Tippy
was
and I
like,
have attended those meetings.
yes,
It is on the north part of that property, but it doesn't have to be on this property. It's in that area, so it could
Okay.
be part of the UDOT. So it's a great question, but just, it's not necessarily slated of it has to be on this property.
no, that's fair. I just didn't know if they were involved in those conversations at all, and,
And I know on our master transportation plan, there is like a potential BRT or light rail that goes right by here, correct?
Correct.
It's light rail and BRT at build out,
It's
so it
both.
doesn't mean we're going to have light rail, but the plan and the vision is light rail for the east-west
Yeah.
connections. There are at least two that cross through this downtown area, and then two north-south BRT lines that cross through this area.
And are we preserving the space for that? Because that was like on a 2050 plan, if I read that right.
Once the
Yeah.
plan, it's being finalized. We've had our final meetings, but they're creating the final document. So once we get that, we'll be able to move forward on future plans with those lines.
And the city will be preserving the space for that. Will be.
Hopefully,
Will be.
UDOT.
Okay.
But yes, we'll work with regional and state partners.
Hopefully
to do
not
that.
paying for it, but preserving
Yes,
it, right?
correct.
And some of those discussions that Mark and Jeremy had with UDOT included discussion of future light rail in this area, because we've been planning for that
Yeah.
for years.
I look forward to that fresh new look.
It was a long look is what we'll call it.
A long look.
I don't know how fresh it was, but it was long.
No, I don't want to go on a tangent, but I want to make sure that at least the new council is aware that Saratoga has something very unique that puts us at a unique advantage for all these options, which is our 30-foot trail corridors on these arterial roads. That gives us excess right-of-way that most communities don't have to deal with any potential outcome. That's enough to accommodate potentially light rail, BRT. Yes, you're going to lose some of those green spaces, but you'd replace it with. So basically, you could say we don't know what the future holds, but our transportation master plan can accommodate it in those arterial cross sections.
Okay. We've been going for a while. Do you have anything else you wanted to present to us? And we won't cut you off, I promise.
No, I would say that we started with a very dense plan that looked like phase 2. And we ran the numbers and worked with staff and came up with a very, very large gap of what would be financially what we could afford to build today based on rents and based on land value. And so we kind of, that was where we started. And then understood the gap wasn't something that would be, there wasn't an avenue to close the gap. So we started on a path of saying, okay, let's look at a different scenario where we start with phase 1 and then grow into the downtown plan.
I understand the phasing and why, so I get that. I think you heard the hesitation is phase 1 is what we have today, right? And it'll be difficult for us to paint the vision and image for our residents that, yes, we're getting some of the same, but we get some of the same to build the future. And that'll be somewhat on us and somewhat on you to help push that message. Are there any other questions from the council?
Do you ever do online feedback sessions? You talked about having community sessions. Do you have places where, obviously there's bots and things like that, but where people can vote, or you said you can do stickers, but you can do amazing things on the web, right, with people highlighting sections or writing notes. Do you ever do that for residents?
We have not done that. I think we did it once a long time ago, but what we found is it's much more personable to be able to have a human interaction, and people can ask questions, and so we would recommend that having an in-person meeting, we'd be happy to come back and host it and be able to, have a human interaction, I think would be better.
Yeah, well, I guess I said that as one of the 20 residents who came to the downtown plan and put stickers on things a couple years ago. There were 20 of us, and you probably get 2,000 comments online. So it's I love the in-person. I really welcome that, but I do think that you'll get a lot more feedback if you do both.
We wouldn't be opposed to it.
Thank you.
One last question, sorry. Is that
Yep.
okay? How early on do you usually know tenants when you start building something like this?
You start having conversations right away, and so I would say pretty early on.
Okay.
Do you require a certain percentage of LOIs before you break ground?
We usually try to do that. I would say yes, and
Okay.
we usually like to be 50% leased before we break
Okay.
ground.
Have you been pretty successful in doing that?
Yes,
Okay.
I would say so.
Do you, this is a work session, so do you feel like you heard enough input from us to continue to work with staff with some direction?
Yes.
Okay. Council, are we good on this item? Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, that will conclude our work session. We do have need for closed session. Do I need a motion for closed session? Kevin walked out, right? Do I have a motion for closed session, please?
Motion made.
I move that we move into a closed session. Is
Okay,
that
that's great.
Motion second.
Second, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
We will move to closed session. We will come back to this room after our closed session to adjourn the meeting.
Are these for us to keep?
Yeah.
Thank you. These are fantastic.